Welcome to the Raw Food Health Empowerment Show. Today we are celebrating Mother's Day by uplifting raw vegan mothers. And we're also talking about a post I just put on the website, Why You Need to Get Civically Engaged, a Raw Vegan Mother Speaks Out. On the blog, we're highlighting Miss Latoya Davis. I don't know if you all remember her from the Raw Food Health Empowerment Summit. And she was also participating in our Raw for Lent live experience recently that we just wrapped up. And so we're uplifting her and talking about her. I recently did an interview with her. But just to give you some backstory, if you're not familiar with Latoya, she's a raw vegan mom who went through a raw vegan pregnancy. So definitely follow her if that's something that you are thinking about going through on your journey. Dr. Toomey Johnson was also on the summit. You can see the page here. I'll make sure to drop a link. And it's also on my website, Raw Food Health Empowerment. It's called the Raw Food Health Empowerment Summit. So you could go to rawfoodhealthempowermentsummit.com. You can also go to rawfoodmealplanner.com. And it's listed in the programs. For some reason, this thing is dragging a lot of energy on my computer, so the pictures aren't uploading. But Dr. Toomey Johnson is listed here, and she also went through a raw vegan pregnancy. So I know a few of you are interested in that and learning more about that. Both of these women, I did talk to them about their experience during the summit. So you can actually purchase the summit if you want to get access to that. And you can also connect with them on their websites and social media and all of that. So I recently spoke to Latoya and we discussed school nutrition because, last week I published a podcast episode with Maria Solanki, who's running for school board. She attempted to open a vegan charter school. We talked about her struggles with that and what's going on with school nutrition. So I spoke to Latoya about school nutrition. Her daughter is 3. And we also talked about, school choice. How does she plan to school her child? Like what kind of system is she putting in the public school system, or is she homeschooling? And she said, and you can read her whole interview on the blog on rawfoodmealplanner.com, and I'll make sure to post the link in the show notes. But she said that she plans to homeschool her 3-year-old, as she grows older, but still feels it's important for mothers to lean in on what's happening with public school food. So I actually have a quote here to show you from Latoya, where she says, "What our children eat impacts their mood and ability to truly focus while at school. Also, dairy produces mucus, which impacts the immune system and is the cause of many illnesses related to the respiratory system, along with allergies. I wouldn't mind getting involved even if my child isn't attending an American public school because of the effects I have seen within my own family and community. The information that I have learned is meant to be shared even if it's not implemented by others." And that last line too, I thought was so powerful, if it's not implemented by others, because we know the struggle is real. When trying to talk to the folks that we love and care about nutrition, not everybody is receptive, even when they're approached with the best of intentions and, in the most soft way possible. Just not everybody's ready. What can you do?
And what is our most precious resources? What do we really live for? Other than living for God, what are we living for? Our children.
Yeah.
We make such big sacrifice to them, and too much of our kids have asthma. What causes asthma? People need to look into that.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? It's funny. I read something online recently where someone posted that they were talking to someone, and this person said, I would die for my kids. And we've heard parents say that before, right? I would die for my kids. The person responded and said, but would you live for your kids? And that's really the conversation we're having when it comes to nutrition from the adult perspective, right? Like why it's so important as a parent to eat clean, because the children need you to be around, you know. So many of us, especially in our community, have watched people from 40 years old, even actually in their 30s upwards, die from preventable illness, you know. And so that's why there's like a real, you know, sense of urgency for us, you know, when it comes to nutrition. So, you know, in thinking about this, how can moms push for healthier nutrition in schools, right? If we agree that eating clean is essential for our community and for our kids, how can we push for healthier nutrition? And there are many ways to do this. I wanted to highlight Maria Solanki again. I know I featured her last week on the podcast, but
Yes.
she is a mom. She's a blind mother. Someone brought that up on my
She's
Instagram.
say,
Blind.
she's a what?
Blind.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Because I posted a reel and someone on Instagram made a statement about her eyes and asking if she was blind. Yes, she is blind. And she is a mom. And she cares about her kids' nutrition and her kids' education, which is why she started the charter school. So definitely for folks who missed that episode, watch it because it's quite interesting, you know, the whole journey that she went through. And, you know, a mother would do it because a mother wants so much for their kids that they're willing to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, you know?
Do anything for their kids.
Yes. And so, because to the whole attempt, like her whole journey of trying to find a school that met her values for what she wanted for her child and actually provided all of the education that she wanted, because the vegan charter school that she was trying to start had a plan for like 3 different languages to learn, you know, like to really expose these kids to, you know, things that are essential for their development as they grow, including having proper nutrition so that they can learn properly. So, you know, I want to uplift her because she is a mom out there doing the work, trying to, you know, not only do what's best for her child, but also for other people's kids. So if you want to support her, you can go to her website, mariaforstudents.com, and support her campaign. She's looking for funding and volunteers to bring healthy nutrition to the Pinellas County, St. Petersburg schools, and hopefully beyond that to the whole state of Florida, and beyond that to the whole country, because it's really trying to tackle public school nutrition on a whole, right? Because, you know, even with charter schools, they get public school funding. So tackling the nutrition program that's affecting all sorts of public schools, all the different types of school opportunities where folks are getting funding for nutrition. You know, we need to tackle that.
Yes.
And then I wanted to also mention my friend Karen, who is a mom that joined LA Food Policy Council. This is LA Food Policy Council's website. And yes, that's me on their main page at one of their events. But Karen, I wanted to uplift her because she's a great example too of another mom out there trying to bring healthy nutrition to the community, because she joined LA Food Policy Council working group. We've worked together on the Good Food Zone policy and helped get it passed in 2020 in LA, which basically supports healthy food businesses in food deserts, aka food deserts, which I don't like that term because it's really areas under food apartheid. You know, you have people with or areas, communities with a whole bunch of people in it, you know, and yet there's no farmer's market, there's no grocery store, or maybe there is a grocery store, but the place is littered with liquor stores and fast food places. Those areas are called food swamps, you know. So there's really a lot of nuance to this. But LA Food Policy Council in particular, they have a working group that centers around school nutrition. And so that's another way for folks to lean in. So I mentioned Maria as an example, right? She tried to start a school. She tried to change the nutrition program with that effort. She's now running for school board in order to really tackle the situation in a way she couldn't before with that previous effort. Then you have Karen, who leaned in, joined the working group for LA Food Policy Council, and you can find food policy councils in your state and city to see where they're operating and what they're doing and how you can lean in and get involved. But these are just some examples. Then there are other nonprofits working on school nutrition as well that need funding and volunteers. Here's one that I recently learned about, which is Healthy School Food, that is based out of New York. Ma, have you heard of them?
No, no. But before you even go further on those information, you were asking before,
Yeah.
how can one let it be known or heard in the school about proper nutrition? There is a platform for that in the school because they have a cafeteria, and they also have meetings at school, and these are things that parents need to bring up with the teachers, because not just what you teach the children, but what you give the children to eat. And if they emphasize much on it, the school can do something about it. Like kids are allergic to certain things, or children have asthma, children have allergy to dairy product. Don't give it to them. No cheese, no macaroni and cheese, no milk, no. You understand? There's a platform for that. But the parents have to get involved.
Yeah, they do. Because
Let's let
the thing is that we didn't know, like, what I learned from Maria is that, like, with her school, she can't even educate on dairy and say that, oh, dairy causes acne, hormonal imbalance. Even like when I went to an all-girl Catholic high school, so many of these girls were having to leave class and spend half the day in the nurse's office because their
oh yeah.
menstruation was so painful. Had someone said, hey, maybe if you cut out the dairy, you'll be able to actually spend time in class learning, as opposed
Exactly.
to crippled up in pain in the nurse's office. But guess what? You can't even do that in the school if you're taking money from the school nutrition program, which, if you are part of the public school system, you want that money, because otherwise it's very hard for you to financially survive. Now, in our school, my school was a private school, so maybe they could have done it, right? Which,
Yeah,
because
but the
there
public
is,
school is much harder.
yeah,
Much harder.
the private school, since it's privately funded by the parents, there is a vegan private school in St. Pete in Florida. They're able to do that. But when you are part of the public school system, you can't talk bad about it, and
No.
you have to serve dairy before water. You know, yeah, it's just
Then they wonder why our children are so sick.
and obese. You know, and that's why it's like the country, on the one hand, they complain that there's not good healthy stock of folks for the army, right, which is most of our budget. Actually goes in a good at least half or something, right, or close to half of the government's budget is going into defense.
Hmm.
But you are having problems finding people who are able to qualify because of their physical fitness. But look what you're doing in the schools. You know,
So sad.
make it make sense, government. Make it make sense. you know. But yeah, I wanted to mention, hold up, this organization in New York, Healthy School Food. So they're also advocating for whole vegan plant-based foods in the public school system. They are looking also for funding. A lot of these nonprofits, that's what they need. They need money, and they need people, volunteers, to support. You could check them out, healthyschoolfood.org. And then I also wanted to highlight Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. I always talk about them. They have a post,
Hmm.
5 ways to encourage your school to serve vegan lunches. They have some resources down here that, could be helpful for you if you have a child in the school. just things you could print out and bring to the school. One of them, a booklet here, vegan quantity recipe for schools, because that's like the major issue too, is like how do you translate some of these recipes for like masses, because you're making bulk, you're making like hundreds and hundreds of meals. So they have this here, which could be helpful. Then a booklet, some videos and things. And you know what? This had me thinking, looking at this. It had me thinking that the raw vegan version would be nice, right? But I know, like, I've been doing work with Ultimed, which is a nonprofit hospital in Southern California. And I'm on the chronic disease prevention working group, right? We have explored bringing healthier foods, fresh foods into food banks, food pantries and things like this. And it's very difficult, right? And mostly because of the perishable nature of this food. It goes bad fast, so you need refrigeration and lots of it, right? Because you're feeding masses of people. So the storage is an issue. And like how long, like the logistics, like how long is it being stored before it gets served? So
exactly,
it makes it quite difficult. I have a lot of information and resources if folks are interested. My friend out in LA, Gwenna, with Vegans of LA, she's actually working to start a vegan food bank. And that, which is a great idea. I love that. I love her initiative, what she's doing. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a lot of like packaged, cooked stuff because of
processed things. Yeah.
Yes, because, storage and refrigeration
is a problem.
So it's like, how do we get, if someone is like at that level, I definitely think the vegan food bank is like the best alternative because at least you're not eating meat and dairy.
Exactly. Although it might be processed or preserved, but it's plant-based. It's not dairy product you're dealing with, so you don't have to really worry.
Yeah.
You might not get authentic 100%, fresh because of course it's most of it is processed and preserved because you have to put some kind of preservative in it.
Yeah.
You have to because,
Yeah, I mean,
it's kind of difficult.
It's really difficult. This is why I think like tangentially, it's really important. Healthy housing is really important. So I think like if you are a proponent and advocate for the raw vegan lifestyle or healthy vegan lifestyle, you should also be a proponent for healthy housing, right? Folks need a kitchen in order to prepare these meals, to prepare a smoothie, salad, juice.
You telling me I need two kitchen right now. It's only 3 of us in the household.
I know when I started on this journey, I had a really small kitchen. But it was a kitchen nonetheless. It was a space. And so this is really important because we do have a housing crisis globally also. So that's something to think about.
So much people losing their apartments and their houses because they're trying to play catch up. It's very difficult. Very difficult. I feel it for young people today. Very difficult.
With companies buying up apartments or homes even just to rent them out. And, folks, because I was on this call recently about gentrification. And the guy, I believe he's from New York, like upstate New York or something. He was talking about when he was a youth, how him and his mom was a single mom, they would get evicted all the time just because, for random reasons. And, every time like a realtor who has this kind of mentality practice, their whole thing is like they want the high turnover means they can charge more rent higher rental
Exactly.
rates.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, honestly, I don't know anybody like that. I know a lot of realtors in our family, and we don't operate like that. So when I hear things like this, I'm
Mm-mm.
like, people are really going through this? Like, wow.
Yes.
I mean, this is
Yeah.
so unethical, you
They sell
know?
their soul. Yes. Yeah.
And they just putting these people out in the street. Like, how can you put out a
Hmm.
single mom with a child
With a
and
child.
they're paying rent, or they've paid rent in advance, months in advance,
Yes.
you
Right.
know? And to see that these things are happening. So it's we need to be concerned about school nutrition, but we also need to be concerned about healthy housing, because like it goes together,
Hmm.
you know?
Yes, it
Um,
does.
it all goes together. And also, with all that being said, now that you all have listened to this, hopefully you're inspired to get out there, get engaged, get
Right.
civically engaged,
Hmm.
because the future generation needs you. I just want to uplift my mother for Mother's Day for being my
Oh.
homie, my ride or die, my best friend. I'm like, let's do this podcast. She's like, yes, all right, let's do it. And I really appreciate you. I appreciate you being an example. We have so many people that look up to you and that really love you. They think you're so funny, and so like enlightening with all the things that you bring to the table, to this conversation that doesn't really get visibility or heard. And they're so inspired by you because you speak to them and to their actual life experience. And so I really want to uplift you and commend you for stepping out. I know it's not easy, right, to be on a grueling production schedule like the podcast, and to show up and give your energy out to folks like this. It is work. So I appreciate you for doing that and for being on this journey with me. I think it's a beautiful thing to see mother daughter be healthy together, and we've been that way since I came about.
Since
So
birth, since
yes.
pregnancy.
Yeah.
I'm very honored, Sam, and I appreciate it, and I know it's genuine and it's 100%. But in return to you, I give you all the honor of letting me be your mother
Aw.
because you're such a beautiful daughter. I could not ask for anyone else. When I prayed to God for a daughter, God delivered an angel.
Won't he do
So he did.
it?
He delivered to me an angel. And I tell you, God is awesome because without a test, you cannot have a testimony. And I appreciate you as a daughter. Never had a problem with you from the day you're born until now. The only problem I deal with you is perfection. And I always tell you, Sam, when I grow up, I want to be just like you.
Aw, thank
Your
you.
standards are high. Your standards are very high. And I appreciate you. You're a daughter that I look up to.
Thank
And
you
thank
so
you.
much. And we also want to uplift the matriarch, Miss Iris Hylton. For this podcast actually wouldn't exist if it wasn't for her, because I mean her life was a testimony in and of itself. I mean, I'm still learning actually from her life. As I age, I see things, that weren't really that apparent to me when I was younger. Questions I wish I had asked,
I
that I
know.
didn't
She
even know to
she
ask.
she has been gone now. This will be her either 18th or 18th Mother's Day. And this lady, I dreamt her. There's not a month pass and I don't dream her.
Yeah.
I used to dream her every week, but now it passed like 2 weeks. I dreamt her just the other day. So she's still in my life. She will not leave me. Thank God for that. She's still she pay visit in my dream, and that is beautiful for me because her
Yeah.
spirit is very much alive.
Yeah. Her
Alive
spirit
and
is
well.
alive. Her legacy lives on. Um, like I said, it's like she showed us a lot just in her life, her experience, how she operated, the love she gave, the money management, because grandma was a boss. Okay. I, I know how to budget because I watched her. I didn't really ask questions, but I watched and I followed suit. I copied.
Example. Yes.
And so, we didn't really have to have the conversation. Just watching how she operated, she knew how to manage that money. And, just watching her deal with what she dealt with her type 2 diabetes diagnosis, and then the whole journey dealing with the medical system, and then ultimately what happened, inspired everything that I have done, basically, from Earth Healing Cafe, the restaurant in Chicago, my book, You Can Afford to Be Healthy, this podcast, the summit, my engagement with these nonprofits, including 10 million Black vegan women, which if you identify as a Black vegan woman, definitely check them out and support and lean in and get involved, because that is an exciting movement.
Right. Yeah.
And, she poured into you, Ma, you poured into me, and I'm pouring in, and it just goes on. And hopefully with this episode, you can see with these raw vegan mothers and these mothers pushing for healthy nutrition, I see a bright future for the next generation. I think they're going to be healthier. We're going to have a healthier environment. And hopefully, the air cleans up, because I don't know who's doing what on that front, but I know some folks is running around.
And thank you again, Sam, for your unselfishness when it come on to, because you could take your experiences or your advice and you probably just run with it and personally just use it, but you spread it across the globe, and it's so beautiful, very, very nice. I appreciate that.
Thanks. And that's basically what Latoya was saying here when she said the information that I have learned is meant to be shared, even if it's not implemented by others. Real talk has never been spoken. The struggle is real.
Yeah, it's like spreading the gospel.
Yeah.
The gospel is the living truth. So healthy eating is the living truth. You can't run away from it. What does people do when they get sick? They start to eat healthy.
Yep. And I think a great way to end this episode is with a line that you have said so many times that I just love so much. What's the line? Tell everybody, for those who are out in the field, walking door to door and spreading the good news about healthy, whole food, raw vegan eating. What should they do? Yes.
Wait, I
give us the wisdom, Mama. Give us the wisdom.
I use so much different lines. I'm wondering, which one are you talking about?
The favorite one.
Or if they don't listen to you, just wipe your feet off and don't return? And they might come running to you.
That happens quite frequently. Yes.
It happens personally to me. But I give God the glory.
Yeah.
Personally to me. Not me personally, but somebody who was pushing me away with it, run back to me.
There's been many somebodies,
And guess what? I am so happy for them, because let me tell you, sometimes the life you save can be your own. Can be your own family.
Yeah. And there's something to be said about planting a seed. Because like I said, sometimes people just aren't ready, They could be in a situation where there are things that are just screaming priority, Right. And they're just not ready yet. But yeah, just keep it going. Perseverance, persistence, resiliency in the fight, and we will see a healthier population if we just keep at it. All right, keep hope alive. Keep hope alive.
God's will. All will be okay. Yes.
Yeah.